In this video, we're going to study Aesop's fable of the Peacock, which is lesson 7 in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's Aesop's Fables course. So as usual, we'll read the fable together and then talk about the moral of the fable and make some notes that I think are helpful for our study and meditation on this fable. So let us read together the fable of the Peacock. The Peacock complained to Juno, and in Greek religion, Juno was the wife of Jupiter, who was the greatest of the gods. So she was the queen of the gods. The Peacock complained to Juno, the queen of the gods, that while everyone laughed at his voice, an insignificant creature like the nightingale had a note that delighted everybody. Juno, angry at the unreasonableness of her favorite bird, scolded him in the following terms. "Envious bird that you are, I am sure you have no cause to complain. On your neck shine all the colors of the rainbow, and your extended tail shows like a mass of gems. No living being has every good thing to its own share. The falcon is endued with swiftness, the eagle with strength, the parrot with speech, the raven the gift of augury, and the nightingale with a melodious note, while you have both size and beauty. Cease then to complain, or the gifts you have shall be taken away." The fable of the Peacock. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a peacock, but if you haven't, you should ask your parents if they can show you a video of a peacock, a live peacock. They're known as the biggest and most beautiful of all birds. They have a giant tail that stands up like a fan, full of beautiful colors. And they're sort of a symbol of showy, beautiful dress. They're by far the most beautiful bird that God created. Not only that, but here in this fable we read that Aesop says that the peacock was actually the favorite bird of Juno, queen of the gods. And yet the peacock is complaining that he can't sing like the nightingale, which is a small bird, as he says, an insignificant creature. The peacock was given these great gifts: size and beauty, large in size and really amazing in beauty. And yet he's complaining that he can't sing like the nightingale. And what we see in the fable is that Juno states a principle that's very important. She says, "No living being has every good thing to its own share." No living being has every good thing to its own share. In other words, it's God's will that none of us are given every gift. None of us are given every talent. None of us are made good at everything. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that God in creating us and designing us, wants us to be dependent on one another. Aristotle taught that man is a social animal, meaning that man was designed to live as a member of a family, and not just a family, but of a community. And so God intentionally gives people different abilities, different strengths, different weaknesses, because he intends them to live together and to help one another. Just think about it. The greatest commandment is love your neighbor, or love God and love your neighbor as yourself. That idea of love has to do with sharing what we have with others. And that's how God intends for us to live. It's also worth noting that the bird is called envious by Judo. And to be envious means to be upset when someone else is seen with something good. The peacock is called envious, but more importantly is the principle: no living being has every good thing to its own share. This fable makes me think of the last two commandments in the 10 Commandments, where we're told by God not to covet anything that belongs to our neighbor. Now, that commandment may seem hard to understand, because if we're willing to work for something, why would it be wrong to desire what our neighbor has? For example, if you look across the lawn and see your neighbor, a child who lives next door or across the street, has a new bike, and you look across the lawn and see that bike, is it wrong for you to say to yourself, I wish I had a bike like that? No, that's really not what it means to covet. To covet something doesn't just mean to desire something. We all desire things, and that's why we work. We work so that we can earn money to buy things that we desire. That's what work is for. It's an honest way to get the things we desire. God says, thou shalt not steal. Covetousness, though, when God says thou shalt not covet, what he really means is don't desire things that God has not given to you, but has given to others. Desiring things that are lawful and good is one thing, but covetousness is what we see here in the peacock. We see the peacock is not content with what he has, but it's more than that. He doesn't just desire to sing like the nightingale. He desires to be good at everything. He desires to have everything. He desires to be complete in himself, and break this principle that no living being has every good thing. It's a greedy desire, a desire to have things that God doesn't will for him. That seems to be the idea of what it means to covet something. Okay? For example, in the commandment, God says, don't covet your neighbor's wife. Now, it's obvious you're not allowed to have your neighbor's wife. It's your neighbor's wife. And so that gives us a good idea of what it means to covet. Something that God has given to your neighbor that God doesn't want you to have. That's not right for you to desire. You're desiring things contrary to God's will. And we can probably tell we're coveting when we're willing to sin to get something. So this fable of the peacock shows us that God created us the way he did. He's given us all some important gift or strength or experience or opportunity that he doesn't give to other people. God makes us all unique. We all have our own way to share with the community, and we depend on other people as well. God's given other people gifts and opportunities and experiences, and we're dependent on other people. We can't live by ourselves. We can't have everything for ourselves. God won't give us everything for ourselves because that's not his will. And so we have to avoid being like the peacock and desiring everything, so that we really aren't even thankful for the things we have. We're just thinking about the things that we don't have, that we want, that aren't God's will for us. We need to not be envious, but be happy to see good things in other people, because God gave those good things to other people for our benefit, so that we could live as a community and everyone can share in them. The falcon is endowed with swiftness, the eagle with strength, the parrot with speech, the raven the gift of augury, and the nightingale with a melodious note, and the peacock with size and beauty. And when all the birds are taken together, we see that they're all beautiful in their own way. And the same is true of people. We're just like these birds. And we need to be content with the lot that God has given us. We need to pay attention to our own abilities and seek how we can serve God and others in the best way possible, to love God and to love our neighbor as ourself. So I hope that's a helpful introduction to the story or the fable of the peacock. Study the lesson on your own. See if you can think of any other stories or Bible passages or lessons from your catechism that help you to see into the meaning of this fable. And examine yourself and make sure you're not envious or covetous like this peacock, and that you see that God intends for us to live in community, sharing our gifts with others, and also enjoying the benefits that others offer to us. I hope that's helpful. God bless your studies.